Hello and welcome to HIPAA, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act for New Employee Orientation. So, what is HIPAA? HIPAA is a federal law that protects the privacy and security of patients' health information. You might be asking yourself, so what does this matter to me? It matters because all UAMS workforce members are required by the HIPAA law to work together to protect the privacy and security of our patients' health information. This includes all employees, clinicians, researchers, faculty, and etc. Let's talk about patient rights for a few moments. The HIPAA law gives UAMS patients the following rights. For more information, please see these rights here on this screen. If you need further information, please contact the UAMS HIPAA office at the numbers shown here. It's also important for you to be aware about PHI. PHI refers to Protected Health Information. It includes information that UAMS collects, creates, or receives about a patient. It can also be in verbal, paper, or electronic format, such as email. Types of PHI include patient information that is transmitted or received by electronic media, such as an email containing a patient's diagnosis. Patient information maintained or stored in an electronic media, such as a database that lists patients' procedure dates. A patient's payment information, such as amounts paid for services the patient received. A patient's mental health status. And a patient's information such as their social security number or their date of birth. PHI identifiers apply to patients, their families, their household members, and their employers. For example, they may include the patient's name, their address, dates related to the patient, their age if greater than 89, telephone numbers, fax numbers, email addresses, social security numbers, finger or voice prints, medical record numbers, insurance account numbers, certificate or license numbers, vehicle or device serial numbers, internet protocol, that is IP addresses, photographs, and or web URLs. Keep patient information private. When papers containing patient information are no longer needed, place them into a locked shred bin. Papers containing patient information may include, for example, patient stickers, medication labels, or after-visit summaries. When mailing, faxing, or handling information to patients, check every page to make sure that it belongs to the correct patient. Also, be careful not to leave papers containing patient information at copy machines, fax machines, printers, or in conference rooms. Do not take papers containing patient information off campus unless you have been approved to do so. Also, make sure you turn your computer screen away from traffic or use a privacy screen. Be aware of those around you when using patient information on your computers, and use private areas to discuss patient information. Always keep your voice lowered when discussing patient information, and be aware of those around you. If you overhear a conversation about a patient, keep it to yourself. Only access the patient information that you need for your specific job duties. UAMS reviews employee access to patient information. Accessing or sharing patient information outside the performance of your specific job duties is a violation of UAMS policy and the HIPAA law. It may result in disciplinary action up to termination. As a UAMS employee, you cannot access patient information outside the performance of your specific job duties. This includes your own medical record using your employee credentials, patient information of your family members or friends, patient information of your coworkers, or patient information of someone in the news. Do not access, use, or share UAMS confidential information outside of your job duties. If you ignore the rules and carelessly or deliberately use or disclose patient information inappropriately, you can expect disciplinary action, civil liability, and possible criminal charges. Examples of UAMS confidential information include patient health information, that is PHI, electronic patient health information, ePHI, UAMS research project information, confidential employee and student information, and passwords. So when can you share a patient's information? In general, you can share a patient's health information for treatment, payment, and healthcare operations of our organization without patient authorization. HIPAA regulations are not intended to prevent the use or disclosure of patient information for the purposes of obtaining treatment. For example, employees that are involved in the patient's care can access the patient's information. Obtaining payment. Employees involved in billing, insurance, or collection of the patient's account may access the patient's information. Healthcare operations. Employees involved in operations at UAMS who need the information to do their job, such as performance improvement or education, may access the patient's information. Most cases and disclosures of a patient's health information that are not TPO, that is for treatment, payment, or healthcare operations, require patient authorization. For example, sharing patient health information with attorneys or life insurance companies. The HIPAA law requires UAMS to obtain a specific authorization form from the patient. It has several required elements to be valid. Valid authorization for release of information, that is ROI forms, are available from the Health Information Management Department. Sometimes the law requires that we share patient information. In these cases, limited amounts of patient information can be shared without patient authorization. For example, infectious disease reporting, suspected abuse and neglect reporting, FDA reporting, organ donation reporting, and/or reporting to funeral directors. Remember, if you are not familiar with the requester, you must verify their identity and authority before sharing the patient's information. When sharing patient information or requesting it from another organization, limit it to the smallest amount needed to accomplish the task. For example, if you only need the latest clinic note, don't request the entire chart. For healthcare operations such as for quality improvement or teaching, de-identified information should be used and the minimum amount of information shared. For example, you are teaching a group of nursing students and you need to show them a broken ankle. It's okay to show them an x-ray, but don't include the patient's name or other identifiers. Exceptions to the minimum necessary rule include disclosures to another healthcare provider for treatment purposes. For example, a patient moves to another state and their new doctor's office needs a copy of their medical records to treat them. It's okay to send the information that they request. The patient directory. UAMS may share the following patient information with visitors who ask for a patient by name, unless the patient has opted out of the patient directory. Name, location in our facility, a general statement of condition such as good or fair, religion only to clergy, or if a member of the media requests patient information, make sure that you refer them immediately to the UAMS Office of Communications. Patients who opt out of the patient directory are informally referred to as no-info patients. Before sharing patient information with visitors, make sure the patient has not opted out of the directory. So what about sharing information with the patient's family and friends? You may share patient information with family or friends directly involved with the patient's care or payment under the following circumstances. If the patient is present or otherwise available, obtain the patient's agreement or provide the patient the opportunity to object, and they do not. For example, you enter a patient's room and there are visitors present. You should ask the patient if they would like the visitors to leave the room before discussing their medications or treatments. If the patient is not present or unable to understand or in an emergency. If you determine it is best for the patient, you may provide patient information directly relevant to the family or friend's involvement in the patient's care. For example, a friend is taking the patient to a nursing home. It is okay to let the friend know what time the patient will be discharged. When faxing patient information, make sure that fax machines are in a secure location. Faxes containing confidential information must have an official UAMS fax cover sheet. Confirm the recipient's fax number before sending. Also, confirm receipt of the fax. Make sure you notify your supervisor if you send a fax to the wrong recipient. Photography. Consent must be obtained before photographing any part of a patient. Do not take photographs of patients with your personal cell phone or personal camera. Do not store patient photographs on any camera. Only store photographs on secure UAMS resources, such as an encrypted hard drive, network folder, or in the electronic health record. Passwords. Make sure you keep your passwords confidential. Avoid maintaining a paper record of your passwords. Change passwords when there is an indication of possible compromise. Do not include passwords in any automated login process, including web pages. Criminals may attempt to obtain confidential information, for example, passwords or bank account numbers, from UAMS employees by email. This is called a phishing scheme. Do not click on any links or share your confidential information. Email. Only use email resources for official UAMS business. When possible, only email patient information to another UAMS.edu address. These emails are automatically encrypted. Limit the amount of patient information in the email. Do not use email services such as Gmail or Hotmail to email patient information. Be careful when forwarding emails that contain patient information. Double check the recipient's name before you press send. When sending patient information outside of UAMS, make sure that you encrypt your emails by typing secure in the subject line. This method will work for Outlook and webmail. When leaving your computer unattended, please do one of the following. Use a password-protected screensaver. Log off the computer or lock your workstation. Lock the workstation using the following steps. Press Ctrl-Alt-Delete on your keyboard, and then on the pop-up window as shown here, click Lock this computer. If you believe that someone has used your username or password, immediately notify one of the following. UAMS Tech Support Center at 501-686-8555. UAMS IT Security at 501-686-6207 or ACH Tech Source at 501-364-5299. Please remember that UAMS monitors logon attempts to UAMS electronic information systems. Employees are prohibited from retaining patient information after leaving UAMS. All computers and mobile devices such as smartphones, tablets, laptops, cameras, diskettes, tapes, compact discs, thumb drives, USB hard drives, or any other devices containing patient health information must be secured and encrypted. It is a violation of UAMS policy to store PHI on unencrypted mobile devices. Doing so will result in disciplinary action. ePHI must be destroyed before hardware or media is disposed of or made available for reuse. Use passwords that are hard to guess. Only use UAMS computers for authorized purposes. Do not use computers to engage in any activity that is illegal under local, state, federal, or international law. Do not use UAMS workstations for any activity in violation of UAMS policy. For example, do not access inappropriate or offensive websites, engage in gambling, send unsafe emails, or download copyrighted materials. Only use UAMS information systems to maintain patient health information. Don't use services like iCloud, Dropbox, or Google Docs. When you communicate by social media, nothing you say is private. You should never discuss patient information using social networks, even if you think no one will know who you're discussing. UAMS policy prohibits posting any patient information on any website or social media site. Violation of this policy may result in disciplinary action up to termination. The UAMS Information Technology Department installs and updates protection from unsafe software on UAMS computers. If you detect or suspect unsafe software or a virus, notify the UAMS Technical Support Center at 501-686-8555 or the ACH Tech Source at 501-364-5299 immediately. Do not install software or download internet software onto UAMS computers. For example, coupon printer, uTorrent, instant message apps, antivirus software, or pop-up blockers. If UAMS allows you to perform work at home, you are responsible for maintaining the privacy and security of all patient information. This includes, but is not limited to, charts, computers, and/or handwritten notes or folders. Patient information must be kept in a location that is not accessible to family members or visitors. Lock patient information away when it is not being used. You will receive a UAMS email account within a few hours of completing the electronic confidentiality agreement during new employee orientation. Your username is your last name followed by your first name followed by your middle initial as shown here. For example, Smith Snoopy P. Your initial password is P equals your social security number. It must be changed at first logon from a computer on the campus network. Your email address is your first initial, second initial, followed by your last name as shown here, or your first initial followed by your last name, also as shown here. Request for access to any UAMS information system is reviewed and approved at the request of your supervisor. Access to patient information in electronic format will be granted as needed based on your specific job duties. Some HIPAA violations are breaches. If a breach occurs, the UAMS HIPAA office is required to notify the patient, report to the Federal Office for Civil Rights, and/or may be required to notify the media. If you are aware of a potential HIPAA violation or breach, please report it immediately. Why immediately? The Federal Office for Civil Rights limits the time we have to report. Also, so it can be investigated and managed, so it can be prevented from happening again, and so that damages can be kept to a minimum. We also want to minimize your own personal risk. The following list provides you with examples of HIPAA policy violations and potential breaches. Please feel free to pause the video and read from among the list of the examples shown here. We want you to know that there is no retaliation for good faith reporting. Immediately report to anyone in a position of responsibility. The person receiving the report should contact the HIPAA office. Call the reporting line at 1-888-511-3969. Call the HIPAA office at 501-603-1379. Email HIPAA@uams.edu and use the incident report link at www.hipaa.uams.edu. Please contact the HIPAA office for any HIPAA-related questions or concerns. There are penalties for HIPAA violations. For example, employee discipline. Violations of the HIPAA law by UAMS employees may result in disciplinary action up to and including termination. Civil or criminal penalties. Violations of the HIPAA law by UAMS employees may also receive civil and criminal penalties imposed by the federal government, such as fines and prison sentences. Financial penalties. Employees who violate UAMS policy by providing confidential information in response to a phishing scheme may incur personal financial penalties and will not be reimbursed by UAMS. For example, loss of wages or salaries earned at UAMS. On this slide, you will find a list of enforcement activities that were imposed by the Federal Office for Civil Rights. For example, there was a $4.3 million fine when an organization violated 41 patients' rights by denying them access to their medical records. UAMS HIPAA policies can be found at the website shown here. For further information on the types of information covered in the HIPAA policy, please see the information provided under the second bullet point. If you have a question about a policy, the UAMS HIPAA office can help you. We want you to be a HIPAA star. Thanks for viewing and welcome to UAMS.